What up guys, it is Justice here and welcome to a Runescape video. This one focused on the living wyverns, which is a new high level mob that has been introduced into the game today on the 2nd of November. Now this video is going to focus on an actual guide, so anyone who's really struggling at the moment, so on a video which I posted yesterday which went through high level mobs in the month ahead, so like preparations you can make and the new defenders that are also coming into the game. I've had a few comments saying, I'm getting wrecked by these living wyverns, they hit like a tank, please help. So this video is just going to concisely wrap up everything which I've learned today on the first day of release, and just try and, conceptualize all of that into a small guide for you guys. Now this isn't going to be a perfect guide by any means, but this strategy works for me every time. I'm getting consistent kills, and it does help if you take a friend along as well, so you can really lock down an area within the living wyverns cave, which is in the Asgardian dungeon. So first off, you do need 96 Slayer in order to slay these creatures. So again, this is aimed at high level slayers. You really do want to have a melee setup over a magical range. Now the living wyverns, they are in fact weak to fire spells, so I went there first with magic spells, and I might share it in a different video, my first actual live experiences, and I was wrecking them at the beginning, but over time you start to get completely wrecked in there. So essentially, and what I really love about this boss is that the environment can actually kill you as well as the boss itself. So when you stay in there for a long time, you get colder and colder, and throughout the area there are different fire pits that you need to ignite in order to stay warm. Now it's very important that at the end of each kill you go within melee distance of a fire pit, make sure it's ignited, and that way you can stay warm. If you get too cold, you will actually consistently keep getting stunned whilst fighting the living wyverns. Occasionally you'll get stunned here and there, and that's when you know you're starting to get too cold. But if you go to the fire at the end of every single kill, you should stay warm enough in the long term. It takes around 20 to 30 minutes before you actually just need to take a break from killing, just to make sure you're fully warmed up before getting back into the fight. So like I said, before going off on a tangent, the best setup to take is melee, and the reasons for that refer to the fact that if you're away from the living wyverns, you will get hit with magic and range attacks. However, if you're within melee distance, you seem to only really get hit by melee hits, and therefore you can just have melee protect prayer on. Again, you want to be taking the highest gear that you have. This is really aimed at high level PvM. You can get away with tier 80 gear, let's say, but the weapons you want to be using are dry gores, tier 90 dry gores. Anything lower than that, you're going to struggle, because you want to be able to kill them as quick as possible and then get right back to the fire pit. The less damage you're doing, the longer you are out in the cold, and therefore the more likely you're going to get stunned quicker. As you can see on the screen right now, I've got an inventory. This is the inventory you really want to be taking. It lasts for quite a long duration of time, 20 to 30 minutes. Probably lasts for about 30 minutes before you might need to resupply. However, if you follow the strategy and it goes well and you're not constantly getting stunned, you shouldn't even be eating that much food, because you will be soul split switching. So for your inventory, you want to have the very best overload that you can produce, which is Supreme Overload, Super Perennial, which is a combination of Restore Potions and Perennial, and then of course you want the Wormfire Potions. Now these are a type of potion that you don't often use because it's like a double dose of anti-fire. You really want to be having these potions. It will really restrict the damage that you receive from the magic attacks from wyverns. So that's not just the magic attacks, it's actually his fire breath attack, and that's the really large blue flame that living wyverns breathe out from their mouths, and it's really damaging. It hit me around 4.4k when I didn't have the Wormfire active, and it actually KO'd me at one point. So in order to make the Wormfire potion, you want a combination of super anti-fire 4-dose potions along with normal anti-fire 4-dose potions, and therefore you just combine those together with crystal flasks and you get a Wormfire potion. Make sure you take at least 2 of those in your inventory. You want around I would say 3 to 4 Restore Potion Flask 6s. 4 or 5 you want to stay there for longer. I usually take a few brew potions, but not much. You want to be using your rocktails really. So you fill the rest of your inventory up with rocktails, take an enhanced Excalibur for that overtime healing, and then you also want the Raptor Gem in there to check your kills left, a shield switch just in case you're in trouble, and Dread Nips really help here because they actually in fact stun block the living wyverns from attacking you, which is fantastic. Auras, well, that's really up to you, but Equilibrium Aura is really nice here, and it always is nice on any Slayer task. And the Scrimshaw that I like to use is Vampirism Scrimshaw, and then another aura, if you don't have Equilibrium, is also Vampirism Aura. With a combination of Vampirism Scrimshaw, really helps those heals over time. It's fantastic, to be honest, you really do feel it. But yeah, let's get into this strategy of actually how to kill the living wyvern effectively. And to be honest, after around an hour or so, I kind of just worked out if I make sure I use these two abilities throughout the fight, it seems to be over pretty quickly. A couple of stun blocks in there as well. So essentially on the screen right now, I'll show you the strategy. Okay, so the first kill when you enter will be easier anyway. This strategy is focused on whilst you've been in the area for a while, or at least for one kill already. Okay, so you're within melee distance of the fire pit, keeping warm with magic prayer on, ready for your living wyvern to spawn. Once it spawns, run up to it as fast as possible, pray melee, then put walk on with your keybind. You will have high adrenaline from the previous kill anyway. Hit a couple of basics, preferably let's say decimate is always good and severe. Then use slaughter and walk the wyvern to triple the damage. Then once you're MD of the wyvern, so once both of you are static, use destroy and flick your soul split prayer on. Destroy stuns the target, so it stun blocks it, and so the wyvern won't damage you, and with soul split on you can heal from your destroy. Then just finish off the wyvern with a couple of basics and the kill is completed, and you should have above 50% adrenaline ready for the next kill. It also helps if you remember to put a dread nip on the wyvern as well. It does in fact stun block the wyvern in addition to any stuns that you inflict upon it. Make sure to store your adrenaline with defensives in between the kills and get back MD of the fire pit as quick as possible, making sure it's ignited. Flick your magic prayer back on, ready for the next fight. Keep following this method and you'll get consistent kills. I just used this tactic today. I'm sure even better tactics will appear as the week goes on. It is important to note, by the way, after around 20 minutes of being in there, you are going to get very chilly. Even with killing and going back with an MD of the fire pit and you maintaining that flow, if you begin getting stunned whilst killing the wyvern, you are either killing it too slowly or you have simply not stayed at the fire pit long enough due to consistently killing your wyvern upon spawn. So this is the hard part. Either on your west side of the entrance there is a fire pit, and this has a skeleton next to it which you can hide behind from one of the wyverns, but the other one can still get you. Or in the south part, the wyvern do spawn fairly far away, so you can again hide from one of the wyverns, but the nearest one on the west side, southwest, will still get you. So it's all about making sure you time it right and trying to make sure the wyverns don't see you. I would say the south part gives you a better chance of being able to rest longer and warm up. But this is also why it helps if you have a mate with you. For example, you can rest on the side of the fire pit where your mate is killing her or her wyvern. This way, your friend, even if the wyvern spawns and attacks you, your friend is going to kill it, it will switch targets, or your friend can even invoke it whilst you're resting, and you can take it in turns that way to make sure that you do fully rest up and warm up ready for the next fight. And that way as well, you can stay in the next fights and keep doing those consistent kills back and two, keeping the flow going. There might be save spots which I don't know about yet, but I highly doubt it, as they've made it purposely difficult to heat up. In addition, I'm just going to briefly cover the dangerous wyvern that has a chance of spawning. This is like a superior elite version of the living wyvern, much harder in terms of basically just because it has a higher amount of life points and it has a higher defense as well. So this has a chance of spawning, which reminds me of Khaleesi's dragons from Game of Thrones. They really do look incredible on this game. Just follow the same method, but it does take longer due to the higher amount of life points that they have, so you'll have chance to either Zerk or use Assault here. Just make sure you pray melee at all times, use Devotion and Debilitate throughout the fight just to make it easier for you, and you'll be fine. The fight is longer and you may get too cold though, in which case you'll be stunned, so don't panic. At this point, just make your way to a fire pit, stay there with a magic pray on and Devotion or camp a shield, or again get your mate to help you out if you go in there with a friend. You can use barricade or reflect, for example, if you are camping a shield, just to sustain that fight longer and to tank those hits whilst you're heating up. Wait for around 15 to 20 seconds before getting back into the fight. I hope you guys found this guide useful. I just realized it's now 9 minutes long. I'm going to get some sleep now. Hopefully you will find this useful. Anyone who's struggling with it anyway, make sure to comment down below any other tips you have. Like I said, this is just the first day of release so far. I will be producing content on my first impressions, and also I'll be producing videos on the drop table in another video. Thanks for watching. It's much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.